See you, Maya.
Okay, have a good day.
It is the 13th of July, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Oh, here we go. Okay. All right. Okay, Lou, would you like to start the reading? My Machriz.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. Um, my Machris. What does the finder announce? Minayan. The number of documents. My area, Palasa. If so, why does the Mishnah discuss a case with 3 documents? Rafilu Tarain Nami. Even if only 2 documents are found, that may also be announced and identified by the Mishnah, that by the Mishnah's method. Ella, rather, Kidamar Ravina, as was said by Ravina, Tiva Machriz. The finder announces that he found coins without specifying the number. The number of coins must be provided by the owner. Hakanami, here too, Stare Machriz. The finder announces that he found documents without specifying the number. The number of documents mentioned by the owner then serves to identify the bundle. Therefore, the Mishnah must discuss a case of at least 3 documents. If only 2 documents were lost, mentioning the number would not suffice to identify them.
Why would saying I lost 2 documents not be a simon, as opposed to saying I lost 3?
I have a footnote.
Yeah.
That says, even if the finder does not announce the number of documents, he must at least announce that he found documents. Now, the word documents, being plural, implies at least 2. Thus, the claimant would not be able to reclaim his documents by specifying that he lost 2, because he would not be saying anything more than was implicit in the announcement. According to Rashi, Rashi states that even when identifying the documents in the bundle, the owner must also specify that they are rolled together. I don't really get it.
Well, first of all, the concept of once you say I found documents, the plural documents means he has to find at least 2. It gives that number as at least. So it means it's a plural thing. And when you say that generally is the assumption that it's the minimum number of a plural, which is 2. But the concept of bundling is a different issue, because that's a question of when things are bundled, you really wouldn't know how many are in the bundle. If it's rolled up, you don't know how many there are. So it's a much different situation.
It's very confusing.
Now, Lisa, which you said there's a Rashi on this that he was quoting?
Yeah.
Sorry, Machriz. Well, let's start from the first Rashi over here. My Machriz.
I'm trying to find where my Machriz is. As I understand where to start. I'm just trying to find where on the page does it say my machris.
It's about right in the middle, right across from Tosus Simpon.
I see the Torah simple. I want to see where it says my machris.
Well, one line lower than Tosus Simpon.
Oh, okay, I see. The my machris. What is it? What are my machris? Moshe, the finder, my machris. What is he supposed to announce?
Right, the one who finds. What is he supposed to announce? Yeah.
And then a minion is the number. And it says Gimel Shtaros, it's 3 Shtaros. The Zeb and the Zeb Ba, and this one comes. The Notain, a simon, he gives a simon. Shekorchen Ayu Yechad, that they were rolled up together. Saying the simon and the fact that I rolled them up together is my simon. But then it says a filu trey nami, but it should also work for 2. Well, since ain tzrich labalim, because it's not needed for the owners, that they a simon to give a simon, ela rather rather that they roll them up.
Okay, so the first thing is that the Gemara is not just asking a general question. When somebody finds something, what is he supposed to announce? Our question is specific. It's specific, going on the cases that we just got through talking about. We just got through talking about cases where we had 3 shtaros and they were bound up together in different ways, one on top of the other, one side by side. But we're noticing the fact that we always talked about 3. So the Gemara wants to know, when it says what looks like a seemingly general question, it doesn't really mean a general question in all cases. It's talking about if he found one of these 3 shtaros bound up together. What should he be makris in such a case? And when the Gemara says minion, we mean to say if you'll it's as though to say im tomar, if you'll say that he should be makris, that he found 3. I found 3 shtaros. My area telasa. Why does the Mishnah have to talk about 3 that were found? Afilu trei nami. Even if he found only 2. That's the way the Gemara is yeah, why does the Mishnah talk about a case where he found 3? And then what would the simon be? The way that they're bound up. They're bound up in the way of a Gouda, they're bound up in the way of what was the other thing? Tachrith, then that would be the siman. If, in other words, if the whole thing is that the siman is the way that they're bound up, so why do you have to dafka have three? You could even have two that are bound up in that way. That seems to be the Gemara's question, or the lead it, then the Gemara says Ella Kedama Ravina, but it's like Ravina says. We didn't get to that yet. Okay. So how far did we get in our reading of the Rashi? Did we read? Oh no. We okay. So Lou, now read from Ella in the Gemara. Or Roy, you want to read? I'm now recognizing Roy. I looked up and I see that Roy is there.
Roy,
you have a red mic though.
Sorry. Yeah, I snuck in.
we're on 20B2,
Yeah,
second column.
I've got a few things. Ayla, I think. Ayla, Bidiloma, Ravina. The procedure here must be, as Ravina said, concerning the return of lost coin. Tivol Rin, the finder, announces that he found coins without specifying the number. The number of coins must be provided by the owner, says Art Scroll. Papa Nami, here too, Shetori, Riverid. The finder announces that he found documents without specifying the number. The number of documents, says Art Scroll, mentioned by the owner, then serves to identify the bundle. Therefore, the Mishnah must discuss a case of at least three, or if only two documents were lost, mentioning the number would suffice to identify them.
Okay, there's that svara that we're saying over here. So at the end of the day, it seems like the Gemara is, the Gemara doesn't really say this, but I guess that's what Rashi said over here, that this is the way I'm understanding what the Art Scroll is saying. Maybe Rashi says it also, I don't know. When he makes his announcement, he's announcing that he found documents, Lashon Rabim, or like the Ravina's case, he found coins, Lashon Rabim, more than one. So to come and say, I lost two documents, I lost two coins, that wouldn't be a siman because this that he said documents or coins, that means two. So that wouldn't be a siman because that's what he said. That's what he said he found. You're not making any clear identification of what was lost. Not giving a siman. Well, if that's so then, the fact that they were wrapped up together is the siman. In any case, the siman is not the number that he found. That they're wrapped up is the siman. So I'm still not clear how the Gemara is coming out over here.
why is it that by mentioning I found coins or or whatever else that it means necessarily means two? Why can't it also? I know that we say that that's a minimum, but it could be 4 or 6 or
Yeah,
3.
right. That's also true. Very good. Excellent. That's right. It means at least two, but it doesn't mean only two. It doesn't mean specifically only two. So if he would say, in other words, the corollary of that would be if he says that I lost 2, so that would be a simon, as opposed to 3, 4, or 5. He says he lost 2. That's a very, I don't know. I don't know what the Gemara is talking about over here, to tell you the truth. Don't understand it. Well, and then that's the end of this section over here. Now we go on to something else with Rav Shimon Gamliel.
There are 2 Rashis here to read.
Okay, yeah, let's see. Maybe Rashi will help us out.
I'll actually say one important Rashi. One is just a quote aware. Because we're up to the Omar Larry, like Ravina says, and now it says Be'elim Mitzil. That's just throwing the place in it. But now here's the ending line. Shtare machriz. He should announce the documents. Okay. Now what that is, shtaros matzati. I found documents. He has to say, I found documents. So this is talking about documents and not coins. The zetzrich, and this needs yama kach and kach. And he can say that so and so hoy that there were the kruchim hoyu, and they were bound up, they were wrapped up. Hilcha, therefore, dafka palta. Therefore, it must be 3. Okay, about trey, but if there were only 2, yada yada, you surely know the miuta shtaro shtayim, that 2 is the minimum number of starot. The ain minyan simon, and the amount of documents would not be considered a simon. I mean, he can't say I just found so many. He has to say I found the documents.
Ooh. It's like Ravina says in Elam Sias, which we didn't see yet. Okay. So on the Gemora and Chaf Hey. Next parak. Shtare Machriz. It's like the Gemara says, it's like Ravina said in the case, what he was talking about the coins. So he said tiva makris. That's what the finder is supposed to be makris, to announce. He found coins. And he doesn't elaborate how many coins that he found. The one who comes to claim them, to claim that he lost the coins, he's got to tell how many there was. What about our case? He has to announce simply that he found shtaros. He found documents. And so then what's the finder's, what's the owner? He's supposed to come along, and what is he supposed to say? He's supposed to say how many he found, and he's also needs to say that they were kruchim, yachad, in a way like this, in a way of takrich, in a way of aguda, like we said before. So what does that prove?
But also you can say, I found coins, so you can tell me what's the value of the coins, or different kinds of coins. And with the case of the documents, so I found documents, and the owner would come forth and say, I lost 3 documents, they were bound together like this, and they were concerning this matter, and one concerned that matter, and one concerned another matter. And by identifying what the documents were for, what they were, what kind of documents, that will be probably quite enough.
Well, the Gemora is saying even without that, what you're saying would be enough.
Yeah.
The Gemora didn't mention that you have to elaborate what the document was. But you have to say that there was 3, and you have to say how they were bound up. And then after that, Rashi goes on, because the Gemara doesn't go into it at all. The Gemara doesn't really answer the question directly that was asked, because it wasn't such a clearly worded question either. So it didn't answer it very clearly either. But Rashi was saying that was the Gemara's issue. And Rashi went on. Shtaris Mitzasi, Rashi says. Guy says, I found the documents, Lashon Rabin. Zed Sarik Shiomar, and this one who's the would-be owner who wants to claim them, what does he gotta say? Kach v'kach hayu. Now that it says kach v'kach hayu, I am assuming that what that means is he's got to say that there was 3. That's how many there were. Kach v'kach hayu. That's the way of saying how many there was. Ukruchin hayu, and they were bound up together. They weren't just lying on top of one another. They were bound up, all 3 of them together. Kach v'kach hayu, ukruchin hayu. Hilkach dafka talasa. Therefore, Rashi says, you see clearly that we need that it's got to be a 3. Why? So Rashi's going to explain us. But that's what you're saying. Valtrei made the idea the miyut shtaros shtayim. 2 saying that there was 2 would not be giving a proper simon, because that's already implied in the words that the guy used when he says that he found documents. Ein minyan simon. Then the minyan that you're giving would not be a simon. To say you found 2, that would not be a simon at all. So it seems to be you gotta have. It seems sort of like the simon is a double-barreled simon. The simon consists of 2 components. One component is that you're giving how many there was, kach v'kach hayu, and also how they were bound up together. They were kuchim. And like that, you have a simon. But 2 would not be a simon. 2 would not be a simon. Now, let's see if maybe somebody asks a question over here. Maybe somebody asks a question like Roy's question over here. Let's see what we have. Oh, yes. There's a lot of discussion over here on this point. Oh, that's a separate question. Sounds like you're giving 2 simonim. You only need to give 1. That's a good question. Okay, so that's what they're going off on. Is anybody challenging what Rashi said specifically about the two not being a simon? Ritva kosav gam ken kedivrei rush. No.
I'm not challenging, I'm just starting this, that the simon, if it's one simon, it has to be a simon. You might be lucky and claim coins or something, because you've mentioned a simon and it happens to be right, even though they're not your coins. It's an obvious simon or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe that's what the Marshal is saying here. The Marshal miyashev dafka kan sorik es shnei hasimonim mishum she'im nosan simen achad v'lo yoda es hasimen hasheni harei ze atzmo yotzer lanu reyasa shelo nafu mimenu ela mi'ish acher. Oh, that's good. That makes a lot of sense, right? In other words, the whole nature of the case over here is that there's two simonim. How many documents were there? And also the fact that they were bound up. If some guy would come along and say, I lost 3 documents, right? So we would say, that's all you got to say about what you lost? How come you don't tell us that they were all bound up in a specific way? Sounds like you don't. It sounds like it sounds like you're just guessing that there was 3, and you got the number of documents right, but you don't. Since it wasn't your thing, you can't tell us that it was bound up. It was kruchim zebazet. So we reject such a person. It's a little fishy that he's coming and just saying. He lost 3 documents, and that's all he says. So maybe that's like Roy is saying. Just to mention the number of items that was lost is not such a strong simon. And especially in this case where there's something more. There's something else integral to the item that was lost, in the way that the 3 things were arranged together. They were bound up. So to neglect to give that simon raises a suspicion whether this person is really the one who lost the item. So maybe that's the answer to our question also with the 2. In other words, if somebody says, if the finder says he found documents, so anybody can come along and say, oh, I lost 2. Anybody could come along and say, oh, he said documents, so that means at least 2. So I'll take a wild guess and I'll say, I lost 2 documents. Right? It's a very weak simon. Anybody could come and say that. But to say 3 is also not so strong, especially in this case. That there's another feature about the documents, in the way that the 3 documents were arranged together. So maybe we could explain why that's the reason why 2 is no good. 2 is not a simon. Just a very weak simon. It's just a guess anybody could say. Anybody could infer the fact that at least two were lost. So I'll say two, right? That doesn't, it's not a good symbol. Okay. Okay, so that's good. Okay, let's go to Ramshim Gamliel Omer. In the next section, Rashbag, Dr. Lou.
Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Echad Haloveh Mishlosha. One person who borrowed from three people. Yachazir Lelove Kule. He should return it to the borrower, etc.
Right.
So he found three documents. One person who, and in all the three documents, there's one borrower. The same person is the borrower in each of the three documents. So therefore, we assume that he's the one that lost it, and we return it to him. De'i salka daisach demalvin ninahu.
Oh, yeah.
That if you should think that they belong to three lenders, my ba'u gabe kadade. What are they doing together?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Rashi.
Right, which you want the,
Oh, we don't have any Rashis yet?
there's one thing there, that's
Yominu.
only one phrase, the Rama Hadadi, that's the only one that's here. We up to that yet? That's the next Rashi.
Oh, I don't see any Rashi. After Shtari Makri's next, the Dilma in the Gemora, please.
Dilma de kiyumin hu azle. Maybe they were going to have the documents certified. In other words, the three lenders were there's a footnote. Perhaps all three lenders had taken their documents to court to have the signatures of the witnesses certified. Once the court certifies the signatures as valid, the documents are sent to a court scribe to have the text of the certification written on them. It was the practice for several people to send their documents together to the scribe. When the person carrying the documents would lose them, it would account for all documents being lost together, even though they still belong to the lenders.
Oh, so this is the Gemara's question. Maybe in fact, they did fall from not from the borrower, but from the lender, or at least the somebody who is acting on behalf of the lender.
Right. But it still would seem to be correct. I mean, three, who's to say it's going to be the same?
Didn't hear you.
I said it still seems to be quite a coincidence that it's the same borrower. If three lenders all go to the court on the same day to certify their documents,
Oh,
why would it be the same lender? That's the same borrower, I mean.
they're all lending to the same guy. Interesting. Yeah, you're right. Right.
What?
The envelope.
That's a good question. Right. Why should we? That would seem to trump the assertion that it was coming in from the lenders. Yeah, it could come from the lenders, but if it's all made out to the same lova, it's kind of striking. They're all lending money to the same lova. You're right. Wow, that's a good question. I don't know how to answer that. Is there you have any note there in the art scroll that somebody asked that question?
The art scroll just says, what I
Note 17.
court.
What did you say, Lou?
I said I read number 17, footnote 17.
Yeah.
It doesn't address my question. It just addresses the question of how did they all get together, but not how did it happen that they all happened to have the same borrower.
Uh-huh.
But I think we're out of time, Rabbi.
Okay.
But you've got a whole night to think about it.
All right. Ezrat Hashem. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care. Be well.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.